Trump Derangement Syndrome is a career-altering mental spiral that hits hundreds of celebrities every year. It causes some to flee America and others to cry on national television. These are 6 celebrities with fatal cases of TDS. Like many people in Hollywood, Ellen DeGeneres was once chummy with Trump, having him on her show 5 times, with his last appearance being in 2007. 10 years later, in 2017, Ellen made her new position on President Donald Trump very clear. He was no longer welcome on her show.
I have not spoken to him since he's run for president or become president.
Would you like him to come on the show?
No.
That same year, Ellen would escalate her anti-Trump rhetoric on air, describing Trump as dangerous and once again making clear that Trump will not be allowed on her show. Ellen would spend the next few years making Trump a consistent butt of her jokes. In one instance, Ellen got into it with Eric Trump after Eric suggested Ellen, Obama, and Hillary Clinton were a part of the deep state. Ellen dedicated a segment of her show to Eric and his father, dismissing the idea that the Trumps have enemies behind the scenes.
I woke up this morning and I saw that my name was trending on Twitter, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so exciting. But also my name was trending because of this. Eric Trump suggests that Ellen DeGeneres is part of the deep state. Eric Trump posted last night, it says, shocking once again, here are the Twitter suggestions of who I should follow, #deep state. I found out deep state is supposed to be a group of people they believe are trying to undermine Donald Trump, which is ridiculous because no one has undermined Donald Trump more than Donald Trump.
In the final decade of her show, Republicans were almost non-existent. You had George Bush, but that's basically the list. As for high-profile Democrats, they were more than welcome. In 2020, she had Joe Biden on her show and practically campaigned for him, begging him to run for president on national television.
But that's the extent to which there's been any interaction.
Right, until you run for president in 2020.
Look, thank you.
Ellen's daytime TV era ended in 2022 due to reportedly being horrible to work for. The closing of the Ellen DeGeneres show created the opening for something much more unhinged, a post-show life where her political statements weren't diluted by TV format anymore. The peak of her obsession came after Trump's 2024 victory. You see, Ellen publicly backed Kamala Harris ahead of the election, and when Trump was re-elected, Ellen up and moved out of the country. By July 2025, she had confirmed the move wasn't just lifestyle travel. She described arriving in England right before the election, waking up to friends reacting to the election results with crying emojis, and she decided to stay in England for good. That same summer, Ellen also backed up patient zero Rosie O'Donnell publicly after Trump joked about revoking Rosie's citizenship, another moment where Ellen used her platform to frame opposition as solidarity. As of 2026, Ellen is living in the Cotswolds with her wife, Portia de Rossi, 4,000 miles away from the constant winning occurring in America. Jimmy Kimmel is a late-night host and a comedian in name only. At this point, his entire persona is being a certified Trump hater. But let's back up and analyze how exactly he got here. Donald Trump appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live twice during the 2016 campaign, once in December 2015 and again in May 2016 after he'd locked up the nomination. Both times, the interviews were relatively friendly, but by 2017, with Trump now in the White House, Kimmel's tone shifted dramatically.
I am glad you're in a good mood because it's another disturbing Monday in America. You know, we went into the weekend worrying about Kim Jong-un starting a war. We came out of it wondering if our president is cutting eye holes out of his bed sheets.
The focus on Trump moved from quick punchlines to full monologue sermons. In May of 2017, Kimmel's most personal escalation hit the airwaves. He delivered an emotional monologue discussing his newborn son's heart condition and tied the story to healthcare politics, but not to mention this was a healthcare system brought to you by the Democrats.
And I want to say one other thing. President Trump last month proposed a $6 billion cut in funding to the National Institute of Health. And thank God our congressman made a deal last night to not go along with that. They actually increased funding by $2 billion.
After this, the shift in Jimmy was obvious. Trump-era policy wasn't just jokes for a comedy show, it became a part of his identity as a person. The long-running feud became a public brand. Kimmel later described how his anti-Trump posture cost him audience, explicitly saying he lost half of his fan base and that the network had hinted he should ease up. A few days before the 2024 election, Jimmy Kimmel did a 20-minute long monologue titled A Special Monologue for the Republican in Your Life, which was filled with out-of-context clips of Trump, liberal propaganda, and Kimmel holding back tears at certain points, all as a ploy to turn Republican family members into Democrat voters.
The only children whose care he seems to care about are the children who are being forcibly sex changed at school. Now, I understand this is a tough subject for people to understand, but this alarm he keeps sounding about forced sex change operations, this is not happening. There are so many difficult problems that need to be solved. And this guy, he can't stop talking about windmills.
The windmills, they don't work.
They're rusting and rotting.
They're making a lot of noise. I could hear it for 2 miles away.
Is this what we want from a president? Someone who believes or pretends to believe any crackpot story that fits his narrative, who blames everything on immigrants?
And it didn't work.
It is now official. CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president, defeating Vice President Kamala Harris and making a political comeback unlike any in modern American politics.
When Trump won the election, Kimmel went back on the air asking his audience if they shared that monologue with their Republican family members.
Babe, be honest. Last week, did you guys send that monologue to a Republican like I asked you to?
The episode was somber. Kimmel once again held back tears as he described the so-called groups of people who will be hurt by a second Trump presidency.
Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine.
Over the next few months, Kimmel's Trump derangement syndrome would hit new levels. September 2025, Jimmy's show was pulled off the air when Jimmy suggested the loser who shot Charlie Kirk was MAGA.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Jimmy's show was reinstated after a man drove up to ABC 10 in Sacramento and fired several shots into the station lobby. Prosecutors later said there was circumstantial evidence it was a politically motivated act tied to anger over the Kimmel suspension. They found an anti-Trump book and notes in his car, and the timing lined up with the protest over pulling Jimmy's show. Essentially, ABC had no choice but to put him back on the air, or they would put more employees in danger of retaliation. On September 30th, Jimmy appeared on fellow Trump deranged victim Stephen Colbert's show to discuss his show being canceled and then reinstated, and of course to bash Trump.
You started as a radio, disc jockey, as you said, when you were, spinning platters and making with the banter.
Yeah.
Did you ever think the president of the United States would be celebrating your unemployment?
I mean, that son of a bitch, is really unbelievable.
Mr. Son of a bitch.
I mean,
Mr. Son of a bitch.
By late 2025, Kimmel's position was locked in and formalized. The Walt Disney Company extended his deal to keep the show on ABC through at least May 2027. For now, Kimmel is here to stay, and you can thank Annabelle Hernandez Santana's shooting of an ABC affiliate building for that one. Chelsea Handler is a comedian, apparently, an author, and a former late-night host who built her career on celebrity commentary and political humor. After 7 seasons of Chelsea Lately on E! And a brief failed Netflix talk show run, she pivoted from traditional entertainment to full-time progressive activism, explicitly citing Trump's 2016 election victory as the catalyst for her so-called political awakening. In July 2016, Chelsea would mock Trump during the Democratic National Convention window, calling him a hot mess in an interview and pushing for party unity against Trump.
What do you make of our messy democracy then?
Well, nothing's messier than Donald Trump. I mean, that's a hot mess situation. That's hotmess.com. I mean, we can never, we're going to move backwards. That's not an option in this day and age. You only can move forward.
When Trump won in November 2016, Chelsea's reaction went straight to raw emotion on camera, crying and talking about leaving the country.
I know for a woman, as a woman, it feels so sexist. And I guess the message that I want to spread out to other women is exactly what you're saying, is not to give up. Sorry, I hate fucking crying. I'm going to move to Spain because I want to move to Spain. I really, really want to move to Spain right now. And everyone in my office is like, you have a responsibility, you have a voice, and you need to use it, and you have to be here.
In 2017, she escalated into blunt fear talk at a public political event, saying Trump scares the shit out of me, describing him as a bully and a habitual liar. Chelsea's Trump fixation became an organizing principle. Entertainment projects narrowed into politics, and her public appearances stayed built around Trump as the central threat. In 2019, she put out a Netflix documentary titled Hello Privilege, It's Me, Chelsea, where she traveled across the country talking to black people and basically apologizing for her so-called white privilege.
I'm clearly the beneficiary of white privilege. I want to know how to be a better white person to people of color. We need to talk to people who are white and stop asking black people to solve our problems.
By October 2020, Chelsea went viral, but for all the wrong reasons. On The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, she described telling her ex-boyfriend 50 Cent he can't vote for Trump because he's black, and it appears she was left on red.
What does he do? Supporting Trump?
He says he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes, which, by the way, isn't a plan of Joe Biden's. That's a lie. So he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes because he doesn't want to go from being 50 cent to 20 cent. And I had to remind him that he was a black person, so he can't vote for Donald Trump, and that he shouldn't be influencing an entire swath of people who may listen to him because he's worried about his own personal pocketbook. So I haven't heard back from him yet.
Even in 2021, when Trump had left office, Chelsea was still obsessing over Trump via an Instagram post. My reaction to Donald Trump becoming president was just like a spoiled little girl who had always gotten her way. And all of a sudden, it wasn't her way. I had to really look at that. Translation, I'm sorry for my white privilege. Following that post, Chelsea would seemingly spiral into a Trump-deranged state of psychosis. In October 2022, Chelsea went on the Midas Touch podcast calling Trump a baboon and describing his presidency as humiliating for America.
My God, now America has gone and elected this baboon. Now what are we going to say to people? And how is this going to affect my international travel?
After Trump won re-election in 2024, Chelsea took to Instagram claiming she would not let her anger over this run her life again, proclaiming I will channel my anger into positivity, joyfulness, and determination. Ever since the election, Chelsea has made multiple public appearances, all of them mentioning Trump, but still masking her TDS with pseudo joy and happiness. She later appeared on Katie Couric's podcast to insist she will not let Trump steal her happiness. It's clear Chelsea isn't trying to convince us, she's trying to convince herself. Bruce Springsteen is a New Jersey-born rock icon and longtime Democratic supporter, and also has a horrible case of Trump derangement syndrome. Starting in September 2016, Bruce Springsteen went straight for Trump's jugular in a Rolling Stone interview, calling the Trump phenomenon a tragedy for our democracy, and describing Trump as a moron, saying the republic is under siege by a moron. By early 2017, the criticism moved from interviews to the stage, where he's supposed to be entertaining people. During a show in Australia, Bruce condemned Trump's travel ban and directly linked his concert moment to airport protests back home.
Tonight we want to add our voices to the thousands of Americans who are protesting at airports around our country. The Muslim ban and the detention of foreign nationals and refugees. America is a nation of immigrants, and we find this anti-democratic and fundamentally un-American.
By June 2020, he was calling Trump a threat to our democracy, a common belief with those who have TDS. In a lengthy Atlantic interview during the George Floyd protests, Bruce expressed his feelings for the world to hear. I don't know if our democracy could stand another 4 years of his custodianship. These are all existential threats to our democracy and our way of life. By the 2024 election, Bruce was all in on Kamala Harris, and one of the few dudes for Harris. On October 3rd, 2024, he posted an Instagram video endorsing Kamala, calling Trump
the most dangerous candidate for president in my lifetime. His disdain for the sanctity of our Constitution, the sanctity of democracy, the sanctity of the rule of law, and the sanctity of the peaceful transfer of power should disqualify him from the office of president ever again.
But the peak of Bruce's TDS would arrive in 2025, when Springsteen's tour stopped feeling like music plus a comment and started functioning like speech plus music. May 14th, 2025, he opened the Land of Hope and Dreams tour in Manchester with "The mighty E Street Band is here tonight to call upon the righteous power of art, of music, of rock and roll in dangerous times. And my home, the America I love, is currently in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, and treasonous administration." And then Trump finally struck back on Truth Social. Springsteen is dumb as a rock and couldn't see what was going on. This dried out prune of a rocker, his skin is all atrophied, ought to keep his mouth shut until he gets back into the country. A few days later, Trump followed up with an AI-generated video depicting himself hitting a golf ball at Bruce, causing Bruce to fall over on stage. Bruce would spend the rest of 2025 obsessing over Trump. But when 2026 rolled around, Bruce would go into full activism mode. On January 28, 2026, he recorded a song called Streets of Minneapolis. The lyrics directly say King Trump's private army from the DHS and calls out Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem by name. It's our blood and bones, and with these whistles and phones against Miller and Noem's dirty lies. And just 2 days later, Bruce performed Streets of Minneapolis live at the iconic First Avenue venue in Minneapolis at a concert of solidarity and resistance to defend Minnesota. The Trump White House responded officially with a spokesperson dismissing the song as a random track expressing irrelevant opinions and inaccurate information. And for now, that's the conclusion of their feud, but most likely to be continued. Pedro Pascal is an actor who seems to be in every big movie or show as of late. Pedro has built a reputation in Hollywood for being very touchy-feely with his co-stars, being way too open about his anxiety and constantly bashing President Trump. In 2018, during the uproar over Trump's zero-tolerance border policy, Pascal tweeted a side-by-side image, children behind barbed wire in Nazi Germany and children in US detention, hashtag This Is America. By the 2020s, Pascal's online persona was openly anti-MAGA. In November 2020, Pascal shared a meme that listed losers in 1865 over a Confederate flag, losers in 1945 over a swastika, and losers in 2020 over a red MAGA hat, explicitly lumping Trump supporters in with Nazis and Confederates. These same posts later resurfaced in Gina Carano's lawsuit against Disney, where her lawyers correctly pointed out that Disney protected Pascal while firing Gina for similar or milder commentary. And after that, Pascal's direct Trump posts mostly went quiet in public until Trump's second term, and that's when he really began to start ramping up his rhetoric. In early 2025, Pedro was now fully simping for the LGBTQ community. In a clear virtue signal to millions of his followers, he posted on Instagram, "I can't think of anything more vile and small and pathetic than terrorizing the smallest, most vulnerable community of people who want nothing from you except the right to exist." One of his biggest on-camera TDS outbursts came a few months later on the world stage at the Cannes Film Festival. In May 2025, Pascal was asked in a press conference about US politics and Trump's immigration policies.
I think fear is the way that they win, for one. And so keep telling the stories and keep expressing yourself and keep fighting to be who you are. And I don't know, the people that try to make you scared, you know, and fight back. And this is a perfect way to do so in telling stories and don't let them win. Don't let them win.
And of course, when Kimmel was suspended from television, Pedro came to the rescue. Pedro posted an Instagram story backing Kimmel, standing with you at Jimmy Kimmel Live, defend free speech, defend democracy. This was yet another instance of Pedro sticking his head where it shouldn't be. By early 2026, as of writing this, Pedro is still believing he's making a difference by virtue signaling to audiences who already agree with what he has to say. John Legend is an R&B singer, songwriter, and producer who turned consistent anti-Trump commentary into a core part of his public persona. In June 2016, at a Hollywood Reporter-Songwriter Roundtable, Legend said Trump was
being really racist and divisive in a very public way. And I feel the need to call that out all the time because I don't want us to feel like it's impossible for our nation to go back to another dark place.
In May 2017, on CNN with Don Lemon, just over 100 days into Trump's first term, Legend said Trump was proving him right every day, calling him misguided, ill-equipped, and prejudiced, and saying he was worried about our nation under that kind of leadership. In 2018, John would go on ITV This Morning to call Trump
selfish, he's racist, he's misogynist, he's a liar, probably the worst liar we've ever seen in public life. He's really ill-informed, a narcissist. I could go on.
In April 2018, when Kanye West began openly embracing Donald Trump, Legend privately texted him, "Hey, it's JL. I hope you'll reconsider aligning yourself with Trump. You're way too powerful and influential to endorse who he is and what he stands for. Don't let this be a part of your legacy." Deranged John Legend was doing everything he could to make it clear that orange man bad. In September 2019, Trump would finally fire back after years of nasty comments from John and his wife. In 2018, Trump signed the bipartisan First Step Act, and then a year later watched MSDNC's Justice for All Town Hall on criminal justice reform, which featured John Legend, but not the president who actually signed criminal justice reform into law. Rightly upset that he wasn't getting the credit he deserved, he went on Twitter and said that the boring musician John Legend and his filthy-mouthed wife Chrissy Teigen were suddenly talking about how great reform was, even though he didn't see them around when he was trying to get it passed. By 2020, Legend took his Trump opposition onto the campaign trail, performing at Joe Biden events and telling crowds that
what we haven't lost is our ability to decide what happens next. In this election, your vote will decide whether we're a country that allows this pandemic to continue indefinitely or one with a plan to end it. A country where the president would go to court to kick 20 million people off of their health care, or one where health care is a right for all Americans. A country where the president actively encourages police brutality and cannot bring himself to condemn white supremacists or neo-Nazis. Or one where we hold our police accountable.
And after Biden was elected, John went relatively quiet in regard to Trump. Maybe he felt his work was done. Until April 2024, Trump once again was running for president, and John thought his tired rhetoric could make a difference. In an MSDNC sit-down with Jen Psaki in April 2024, Legend blasted Trump as a tried and true, dyed-in-the-wool racist. After Trump won the 2024 election, John Legend posted a final FU to Trump, sarcastically endorsing Trump for the Peace Prize 2026.
Let's talk about the Nobel Peace Prize. Guys, I probably don't have to tell you that man really, really wants a Nobel Peace Prize. Believe it or not, I want you to do this. I want this Peace Prize for you so badly. But as a parent, I've learned that kids respond really well to positive reinforcement. So Donald, we've tried negative reinforcement, impeachment, indictments, voting you out of office. So let's try positive. Let's promise that if you get it together, you change your awful behavior, you're going to get that Peace Prize that you so badly desire. And I'll be so proud of you.
John Legend now spends his days clinging on to relevancy, only seeming to hit the headlines when he's speaking about Trump. If you haven't had the chance, go watch part 1, 2, and 3 of this series. It doesn't matter which order. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.